Good evening and welcome to another episode of Coachable Moments. I am your host, Pat GPT, and I've got a very important topic to discuss with you today. And the title of today's episode is called A Lot on My Plate. And this is a personal story that, I wanted to talk with my listeners about. Because I think it's important to show transparency. I mean, I know a lot of people look at me and they may look at you and it may appear that, we have our lives together, like we have our business in order, we're on top of everything. But I heard a very interesting quote, and it said that I don't look like what I've been through. And quite often, that quote applies to me. I mean, I quite often go through a lot, but I try to use certain techniques to keep myself in good mental and physical health, so that the weight of what I go through doesn't reflect in my appearance. But nonetheless, I want to talk to you today about having a lot on your plate. And some of you can relate to that feeling of just weight that exists. It may not feel like weight on your back, but it may feel like just a heaviness, on the inside, where you don't feel like you're quite yourself. And the unfortunate part of it is sometimes it's hard to identify the root cause. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes we're well aware of where the stress is coming from. But sometimes, we can not have an understanding of what the cause of that stress and anxiety is. And that's okay. But I wanted to make sure that, we talk about it, because for some people, they feel like it's something wrong with them, because they don't feel like they're themselves, and they don't feel like they used to feel when they were more happy and they felt lighter. So it's nothing wrong. I think one of the things that we have to be mindful of is that we need to start identifying that feeling and understanding that we may need to do some things in order to allow ourselves to lighten the load and feel better about ourselves as we're going through these times in our life. So sometimes when we have a lot on our plate, some of the ways that it shows up in our life is anxiety. Sometimes people feel like they're just about to crack. They feel almost shattered at times, like that feeling that you're jittery, you can't relax. You just feel like if one more thing happens, then I may just lose it. That's anxiety. It's being overwhelmed. It's increased stress. And after a while of feeling this way, you'll start to feel that additional feeling of exhaustion, because you've carried this feeling around for a week or a month or several months of just feeling heavy, and you haven't taken the time to address it and try to find a resolution for it. So if you haven't found a resolution for it, quite often these feelings just, they fester on the inside of us. And over time, it can take a severe toll on your mental, physical, and even your spiritual health. Left unresolved, it will continue to eat away at you. So I want to make sure that with this episode that we look at not only, my personal encounters, but I want to share with you some resources here at the end that will help you deal with these feelings that you're having. Personally, at times I feel like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders. Often I feel as though the amount of demands that I have on me and the amount of responsibility that I carry can often make me feel overwhelmed. I mean, I have the responsibility of not only living my life for myself, but living to be an example for my sons to look at and say, that's a example of strength that I can reference when they may feel like giving up. So not only that, but sometimes when you pour from your cup into other people for so long, it makes you feel as though you have nothing left for yourself. I mean, that's where the exhaustion piece comes in at, when you give and you give and you give, not only financially, but, giving of your time, your energy, your ideas, that takes a lot out of you as a person. And there has to be a cycle of giving and receiving in order for you to recoup the energy that you put out. You have to get it back in some way. Not necessarily getting anything back from the people that you give to, but you have to do things for yourself in order to reset, whether it be, taking self-care days, getting those massages and making sure that you practice your mindfulness. With everything that goes on in the world, it's so easy to allow your mind to go to a place that it's hard to pull it back from. And what I mean by that is the distractions that come our way, the things that we see on our phones, in just daily life and interactions with other people, the things that we see, we can't unsee it. Once we've seen it, it's been ingested into our mental. And even that can affect the way we feel. I often, tell my friends that, I'm going to take a break from the internet, and my phone and social media in order for me to recalibrate myself and reset my feelings and my personal views on my own life. It's very captivating to get caught up in what other people are going through, and it becomes entertainment. And, once you start to entertain yourself with the behaviors and the reality of other people, you lose that investment of time into your own life. And so it's important to me that that I pull back from that at times so that I can invest in myself. That's another way of pouring into my own self. It's very important that you surround yourself with people that have a desire to pour into you, whether it be emotional support, whether it be affirmations or compliments. Identifying those things that you need in order to rebuild your energy levels is a very important step in your daily interactions with the people that you choose to surround yourself with. So keep that in mind. If you're around people that are always negative and that always have a heavy spirit and nothing ever goes well for them, you need to manage the amount of time that you allow yourself to be in those environments, because that feeling of heaviness can easily rub off on you. And what seemed to be light for you to carry can also, can easily become heavier than it once was, just by adopting the weight of other people. I read a book recently, and I'll share that with you on a later date. But the book talks about how the body keeps a record of the traumas and the thoughts and the anxiety that you experience. And so I say that to say this: you have to monitor your levels of how much you can take in. And before you get to that point to where you feel like you're about to break, You need to remove yourself and find a place of peace and solitude where that you can regenerate your energy and not allow yourself to be depleted. Because once you get to that point, it's hard to pull back. So have that spirit of monitoring yourself, knowing when you can't take anymore, when you need to remove yourself and allow yourself to that time to heal and rejuvenate. Because you can't be around negativity all day, every day. It will start to take a toll on you before you know it. Had a conversation today with my sister, and we often talk about life and the demands that we're under, and we both have ambition, a real strong drive for success, and we'll start a business up on our lunch break if you let us, and we'll drive it home. We'll put everything that we have into it, and we kind of balance each other out. We'll say, hey, do you think you're taking on too much, or do you think you need this additional business? With everything that you have going on, is it going to add stress to your life, or is it something that you can maybe pause until you get some of the other items that you have, a little bit more flushed out before you take on something else? And so just being an accountability partner, for your family and your friends, that's an important thing to do. But even that takes on, and it takes energy to do that. So, but we do need those people in our life that can, point out to us that maybe we're taking on too much. Maybe it's, a good time to take some things off your plate. Some of those things that you identify and are root causes of some of your stress. You need someone that can be honest with you and tell you, hey, maybe you need to stop doing this or stop doing that or stop talking to this person or whatever the case may be. For some of you, it may be, a relationship or a job or family that is the root cause of your stresses. And you need to identify what those root causes are so that you can better manage your interactions with those sources of stress. So, before I close, I just wanted to share with you some of the things that I do to reset. Personally, I'm huge on massages because I feel that stress gets into your body. It gets into your muscles. It gets not only into your body, but it gets into your psyche, your mental. And what it does, it often ties your body in knots. I mean, your muscles will have knots in them from being uncomfortable and being uneasy. And when you think about that, the word disease is dis-ease. You're uneasy about something. And so the way that you manage your stresses can literally create dis-ease within your body. And so when I talked earlier about practicing mindfulness, it's important that you analyze how your body is functioning. You can feel it in your body when you're off, when you're stressed and you have the anxiety. You can just feel that the chemical balance within your body has shifted and you're not operating at a peak performance level. Sometimes you feel like if you were a vehicle that you would need an oil change because you're just not functioning smooth like you were when things were a little bit easier to manage. So practicing that mindfulness, asking yourself, because I hear so many people say that nobody ever asked me how I'm doing. Well, do you ever ask yourself how you're doing? Do you take the time to see how you feel and how you're feeling on a daily basis? Because if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, you need to identify that. And then you need to create a plan to remove that feeling from your life, whether it's stepping away for 20 or 30 minutes, practicing that attitude of gratitude and being thankful for where you are, or do you allow yourself to continue to focus on that stress and those problems? I would recommend the prior. Step away sometimes when you feel overwhelmed. Don't allow your body to continue to function under that kind of pressure. Take a minute, get to yourself, and reset. So for me, massages do well. I also like acupuncture. I'm really big on relieving the body of tension. I think, these words have meanings. When you think about the word hypertension, in the Black community, we call it high blood pressure. But what happens is the combination of bad eating habits, poor exercise, low consumption of water, the consumption of stress and anxiety, all of that creates a hypertension or a heightened level of tension within your body. And so you'll start to see yourself respond differently. You'll be lightheaded at times, and along with other signs that show up when you're at a heightened level of tension within your body. So finding ways to relax, incorporating exercise, clean eating, proper diet and exercise is a way to ease that tension. I honestly feel that you can cure yourself of high blood pressure just by how you manage yourself and the choices that you make and the things that you choose to remove yourself from that are causing those heightened levels of tension. Another thing that will help you when it comes to resetting is having better time management. It's what I find is that we will start to practice procrastination. The first thing that happens is when you start to feel like additional weight put on you, it makes you not want to do anything. So you'll find yourself just laying around, sleeping more, skipping going to the gym, eating bad foods because you don't feel like cooking better quality food, things like that. So that loss of ability to manage your time and your decisions, it weighs on you, and it's going to have increased negative results if you don't figure out ways to manage your time better. For example, if you've got to get the kids dressed for school tomorrow, go ahead and get those clothes out and prepare tonight, so that you don't have to rush tomorrow morning, because you'll start your day off feeling overwhelmed and it'll only get worse throughout the day. I promise you. Back in the day, the mothers and the fathers too at times would get the clothes ready for 2 or 3 days ahead of time. Sometimes, I've seen women get clothes ironed for the entire week. And that way during the week, that's one less thing that they have to worry about. The same goes with prepping food and meals. There's a lot of resources now that are available that were not available in the past to help out with preparing food, to take that stress away. So you don't have to worry about what I'm going to cook when I get off work, things like that. So one of those examples, HelloFresh, they've got different suppliers that will ship out boxes of food to you, and it'll be lunch and dinner for several days, however many days you want to purchase those meals for. And that takes away the stress of having to figure out what you're going to cook for dinner for you and the family. So that's another way to help you manage your time. So proper time management will help in several ways. And one other way that I thought about is the financial stress that comes with life, and having excessive debt obligations. Once you start to feel overwhelmed, again, you'll procrastinate because the mountain looks so big. You don't feel like you have a way to move it, so you just give up and stop doing anything toward that. So just like you manage your time, managing your finances can play a huge role in relieving a lot of the stress and anxiety that comes with having a lot of extra things on your plate. So, get out that computer or that iPhone or whatever you have, and don't just use it for TikTok and Instagram. Open that spreadsheet app up and start to document what your bills are and when they're due. So you'll know. You can set your phone to give you alerts to when payments are due, so that you don't feel overwhelmed, get behind on your obligations. And so that's a huge piece right there. It's that financial management piece, along with the time management. It will help take a lot of the stress off and allow you to better manage the weight of living life at times. So I'll leave you with that. I thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this episode. If you don't mind, hit that follow button, follow the podcast so you can be notified when I release new episodes. And as always, I definitely appreciate you taking the time. You could have been listening to any other podcast on this platform, but you took time out to listen to mine, and I truly appreciate it. Be blessed.